Hey everyone, Kane here, and in this video we're gonna talk about Lich skeleton stats and what kind of stats they may require to be one of the better tanks, I suppose. So, first things first, while you're playing Lich, if you are upgrading these summoners, finishing their enlightenment, etc., and awakening, same as I do believe you require gears, I think at least to 6 star, I'm not entirely sure. You can actually revive tier 19 skeletons during some of the events, so essentially they can become one of the tankier troops in the game, and even now they're one of the better ones in terms of the I suppose invincibility or survival whenever they drop to 0, and as well as they are able to survive this much and tank quite a lot of, let's say, army, even if there's singles of them staying alive, which means something like Gazel reviving your army will essentially make your army a lot tankier. So, first things first, what kind of stats should you focus on? Now, the thing is, I'm not entirely sure whether or not this enhanced Curse Blade is affected or has to be affected by accuracy to actually activate. So, basically, this says when struck by a cursed blade, enemy units suffer reduced morale. Only effective against humanoids, and after each attack, there is 30% chance that the skeleton warriors itself crit resistance, damage resistance, etc. is increased and stacking to a maximum of 5 times, and when revived, automatically reaches 5 stacks, and buff is given to friendly skeleton units upon death. Now, what makes me kind of wonder about this ability is that when struck by a cursed blade, which means it kind of puts like a skill indication that this skeleton warrior has to hit the target for something like this to actually proc. Now this says after each attack, so it can be like 50-50, but I somewhat think that this unit itself, to get these tankiness stats, I suppose, does have to hit the enemy. So to become a little bit more tankier, he actually has to have a decent amount of accuracy. Now, do keep in mind, I'm not telling you to raise the accuracy of the skeleton warrior. You have to upgrade features, let's say like Awakened Epic in the Covenant right now, increasing their accuracy by 30%. Now, do keep in mind that this first passive, like 30% accuracy, is active even if the Skeleton Warrior is not in your garrison. This second bit, the attack and HP stuff, is only garrison, so do keep that in mind. So the first half works on anything. Now, the thing about it is you can get accuracy, I think, from Enlightenment, yeah, 22 and a half. Not entirely sure if there's any in here, but I do believe you can get some accuracy, as shown here in Gears. Not entirely sure if it's a very huge amount, and any random, I suppose, accuracy appearance in here. Though do keep in mind you can get accuracy from a variety of features like potential, like I think even research, so you don't really need to focus the accuracy itself, but the stat itself can be pretty frigging good for their, I suppose, tankiness in terms of this ability. Though again, do remember, you don't have to raise it, it usually will come by itself. Now, the evade chance. The thing about evade is if the units do have a lot of accuracy, it's not actually gonna be that good. So evasion is only good when units have like 100% accuracy, maybe less. Then you can miss some hits, but if units have like 160%, even I suppose 90% evade chance is almost like really useless. In majority of the sense, I'm not saying all the time, but highly likely can be pretty useless. Now, a lot of people have tested, they can say it's bad, it's good. Personally, I haven't really missed that much with a pretty decent amount of accuracy, unless like the guys had less than 100%. So yeah, then I experienced quite a lot of misses. Aside from that, you can go two ways in terms of the skeleton warrior tankiness. First is, I suppose, the cheaper way, which is the crit rate reduction. The second one is the healing received. So the first one, the enemy crit rate reduction, we can more or less deem it as like the cheapest way to make units tanky. So for example, skeleton warriors cannot be healed by some abilities, some features, so the healing received kind of drops off. So this stat in general means that anything that hits the skeleton warriors will have a reduced crit chance, meaning mages will hit a bit less, archers will hit a bit less, but do keep in mind a lot of archers have like 70 to 90% crit rate. I suppose it will directly remove the ability for enemies to do incredible amounts of critical hit damage, and in the current meta quite a lot of archers literally can have from like 300 to 500% crit damage, so the damage can be pretty explosive. So essentially this is like the cheapest way of upgrading, and the easier way that you can acquire it is through covenant abilities, or rather secondary bonuses as shown here. Now do keep in mind that this particular value does have soft and hard caps, meaning if you get more and more and more, it's gonna have a soft cap, then it's gonna have a hard cap. So even 10% or 11% of this kind of removes like 7%. So for example, check 48% right now. I'm gonna go to Covenant and I'm gonna remove 11.6%. So we go back to the Skeleton Warriors and we see that it has 41. So I removed 11.6% and it removed only 7. So it does have some sort of a cap, and the further you go, the more insane it becomes. Now, in terms of the healing received, it's actually, I suppose, a doozy. Quite a few people have achieved over 200% healing received, and about around that kind of a value, the healing received starts to multiply or double or increase in pretty huge values. I'm not entirely sure on the correct information or not, but apparently if you get more healing received above like some sort of a value, it starts increasing even more and more and more. So for example, if you would get like 10% after 200, it probably would add like 15, maybe 20, maybe something like that. Like that, I'm not entirely sure, but people have told me that you can literally overstack this one stat, and then potentially it could be pretty powerful as well. Whether or not it's powerful on skeleton warriors themselves, I'm not entirely sure, but then it could make the mummy formation with the mummy healers, perhaps even Azure Dragon, eventually pretty decent. Whether or not that is very strong now, I kind of doubt it in terms of a Lich formation in general, but I suppose it can make the trees, suppose it can make something perhaps like Blade Masters, Human Swordmen, somewhat fairly tanky. But again, probably I would want to have at least a couple of crit rate reductions and a couple of healing received as well. So, I mean, there are two ways, but the healing received one, from what I kind of gathered, is you do require quite a lot of features. You do require premium artifacts to actually make this particular value very useful. I suppose in the immediate circumstance, I do believe enemy crit rate reduction is the better one. Now, of course, quite a lot of people will do their own testing as well, same as I have done a little bit before. So if you do have any other comments in regards to this, or tips or stuff like that, I'm also willing to be open to ideas and also test some other stuff as well. But for now, from what I kind of noticed, this actually works quite well. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the video, I suppose. Like the physical and magic resistance, I don't think people should focus it, because like even 10% is barely even adding one value in terms of here. Like Sylvani trees do get huge values, but literally anything else, the values become fairly weak. Like you can have like reduced damage or whatever, like a couple of them, but this was actually pretty unlucky for me, and I had literally no choice over them, because like these pieces, these are the last pieces that I have tried ever that I had, and they were all literally reduced damage taken. Like what I have, I accidentally dismantled most of them and just had to deal with what I had. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully the video was useful to you, and if it was, do hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay safe out there.